Overnight Russian airstrikes have killed at least 4 people, including 3 young children in Ukraine's northeastern Kharkiv region, local officials said on Wednesday.
The European Union is setting up a strategy to efficiently detect malicious drones entering the bloc.
Portugal's interior minister has resigned after coming under fire over her handling of the flood response in recent weeks.
A Russian drone smashed into a home in Ukraine's northeastern Kharkiv region overnight, killing 4 people, a father and his 3 small children. The children's mother, who is 35 weeks pregnant, was badly injured, Ukrainian authorities said on Wednesday. According to the Kharkiv Regional Prosecutor's Office, the strike completely destroyed the house and set it on fire, with the family trapped under the rubble. Rescue workers pulled the mother alive from the rubble, prosecutors said. The latest Russian aerial attack comes after a so-called energy truce which US President Donald Trump said he asked Russian President Vladimir Putin to observe expired last week. The truce was meant to allow Ukraine's energy sector a reprieve during what has been an extremely cold winter. Local authorities in Kharkiv have declared a state of emergency over the energy situation in the region. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the latest attack, saying every such Russian strike undermines confidence in everything that is being done diplomatically to end the 4-year-old war.
The European Union is setting up a strategy to efficiently detect malicious drones entering the bloc. The Commission presented an action plan on Tuesday in response to multiple incidents that have affected critical infrastructure in countries such as Poland and Belgium.
We have seen that drones, they have violated our airspace, disrupted our airport operations and caused also near misses with the civilian aircrafts. In fact, this malicious or irresponsible use of drones affects the protection of critical infrastructure, also our external borders, ports, transport hubs and public spaces, as well as maritime safety and energy security.
The strategy aims to increase investments in technologies that can distinguish malicious drones from others. The Commission also announced a new certification scheme for counter-drone systems and the launch of an industry forum to scale up production.
Portugal's Interior Minister Maria Lucia Amaral has resigned after coming under fire over her handling of the flood response in recent weeks, the presidency announced. Her position will be temporarily filled by centre-right Prime Minister Luís Montenegro, whose government has come under fire for its response to the 2 weeks of storms that killed at least 7 people and caused an estimated €4 billion in damage. Portugal is still dealing with the aftermath of storms Kristen, Leonardo and Marta. 3,000 people were evacuated in Coimbra on Tuesday night alone due to the possibility of the river dikes collapsing. Wednesday will be another day of heavy rain, with 9 districts under an orange alert. Warnings are also in effect for much of the country due to wind. Portugal is under a state of emergency until mid-February due to unprecedented levels of rain and flooding.
There is an industrial future for the region, but also for our country and for Europe, French President Emmanuel Macron said during a visit on an ArcelorMittal steel facility in northern France.
Il suppose d'avoir une Europe qui simplifie, qui est plus compétitive, une Europe qui se dérisque de ses grands compétiteurs, une Europe qui innove et qui investit, et une Europe qui protège. Ces 4 piliers de la stratégie européenne, c'est ceux qui nous permettent d'avancer, ce que la France défende, ce qu'on veut pousser avec la Commission européenne et ce qu'on a réussi à faire sur l'acier et qui nous permet d'être là aujourd'hui.
French steel manufacturer ArcelorMittal announced a massive investment into decarbonization on Tuesday. It will construct an electric furnace on its Dunkirk site to produce metal without using coal and reduce its CO2 emissions. The French president said a real transformation has taken place, which involves the reintroduction of decarbonized energy.
Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk said the Polish embassy in Washington had received an invitation to the inaugural meeting of the Board of Peace, scheduled for February 19th. The invitation was addressed to the Polish President, Karol Nawrocki, or the Premier, Tusk. The Board of Peace is an initiative launched by U.S. President Donald Trump involving many world leaders, established to primarily handle the reconstruction of Gaza as part of the ceasefire deal he brokered in October. Many have joined, but many countries, including France, have declined, saying its ill-defined role challenges UN responsibilities. Tusk said on Wednesday that under the current circumstances surrounding Trump's newly created body, Warsaw will not be joining. The Polish leader did, however, note that his country will analyze its role, and if circumstances change, will be open to joining it in the future. At least 8 people were killed in a school shooting in Canada's westernmost province of British Columbia early on Wednesday. Police say more than 24 others were injured to various degrees. 2 people were airlifted to hospital from Tumbler Ridge High School to receive urgent care after sustaining life-threatening injuries. Meanwhile, 2 other people were also found dead in a nearby home to the school, which authorities believe may be connected to the attack. Police say the shooter has been identified as a female suspect, but did not release their name, pending further probes. Investigations are still ongoing as police look to identify the motives behind the shooting and whether any of the victims are connected to the suspect in any way. Authorities say the shooter was also found dead on site from what appears to be of a self-inflicted injury.
US Vice President J.D. Vance and Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev signed a strategic partnership focusing on economic, security, energy and technology cooperations on Tuesday. Speaking at a news conference, Vance praised Azerbaijan and Armenia's efforts towards achieving peace.
We are learning to live in peace, and we're very grateful to the United States government for this great contribution. Not only we lifted all the restrictions on the transit of cargo through Azerbaijan to Armenia, but we ourselves started to supply oil products to Armenia, thus beginning actually trade and beginning cooperation.
The visit comes as Washington consolidates its engagement with Armenia and Azerbaijan following their historic peace deal after decades of conflict. On Monday, Vance and Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan signed an agreement to advance negotiations on a civil nuclear energy deal. One key project in the region is the Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity, a corridor designed to connect Azerbaijan with its Nakhchivan exclave, which is separated from the mainland by Armenian territory.
The US Vice President's visit to Armenia and now Azerbaijan is historic for the two countries who are forging ahead with peace and cooperation. But it's also significant for the reinforced relationship between the South Caucasus and the United States for a couple of reasons. One being the economic cooperation, and the other, the fast-moving geopolitical realities of this region.
The trade agreement between the EU and the United States is a total capitulation, Belgian Green MEP Saskia Brikmont told Euronews Europe Today morning show. Political groups of the European Parliament reached an agreement on Tuesday on the EU-US trade deal, which was settled in July but still needs to be ratified.
I'm part of the ones that say it's a total capitulation. There's obviously a willingness from the von der Leyen majority to show signs of appeasement with Trump. I'm not sure this is the language he understands.
Conditions were attached to the deal. The agreement will expire at the end of March 2028 unless explicitly renewed, and the deal can be suspended in the event the US threatens the territorial integrity of one EU country.
There is this kind of de-escalation since Trump somehow is less vocal about Greenland, but I'm pretty sure he's not giving up. He has an international agenda. It's pretty clear in its security strategy as well.
Brikmont said EU countries have to take their own fate into their hands by investing in clean industries and the green transition ahead of Thursday's EU Leaders Summit focused on competitiveness.
Violent clashes broke out between anti-government protesters and Albanian security forces during a demonstration outside the parliament on Tuesday. Riot police units used tear gas and water cannons to disperse crowds of violent protesters, who they say threw rocks, flares, and Molotov cocktails at on-duty officers. 13 people were detained for inciting violence, which officials say injured at least 16 people. Protests erupted against Prime Minister Edi Rama's government over corruption allegations involving Deputy Prime Minister Belinda Buluku. Protesters have been demanding her resignation, but Rama has so far resisted calls to dismiss her. Protesters are also demanding the lifting of Buluku's immunity from prosecution, which can only be done via a parliamentary vote. Anti-corruption prosecutors have accused the deputy premier, who also serves as energy and infrastructure minister, of interfering in public procurement for construction projects to favor certain companies.
South Korean authorities raided the country's intelligence agency on Tuesday as part of a probe into an alleged drone incursion into North Korea. North Korea said it had shot down a surveillance drone in January, accusing its neighbor of trying to gather intelligence on North Korean targets. Photos showed the wreckage of a winged craft scattered across the ground next to a collection of gray and blue components that allegedly included cameras. Seoul initially denied any involvement, but a joint military-police task force said on Tuesday it was investigating 3 active duty soldiers and 1 spy agency staffer. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung has sought to repair ties with North Korea, vowing to stop the drones his predecessor was accused of using.